Chapter 38:18. The strong pressure was extremely stimulating to the physical body. Once one got used to the pressure here, he would be able to travel much faster to other places. Wang Xian was flying in the sky above this region as he scanned his surroundings. At this time, he saw a puddle in front of him. The water in the puddle was black and emitted a unique energy. In these black puddles, there were hundreds of disciples of the universe of faith. Their strength was comparable to the honorable realm. They sat cross-legged in the puddles as waves of energy surged into their bodies. When Wang Xian flew over, the disciples of the universe of faith did not sense his arrival at all. When he entered the puddle, he could sense that the black water contained a powerful energy. This energy was capable of greatly improving his physical body. After sensing it for a while, his eyes flickered. This place was indeed very conducive to enhancing one's physical body. The disciples of the Dragon Palace could also improve tremendously by cultivating in this place. In addition, he could sense that the black water was emitting the same energy as the entire area. It was as though the black water was the same substance as the stars. It was just that the black water had turned into a liquid and could be absorbed. As Wang Xian investigated, he waved his arm and killed the disciples of the universe of faith in the puddles. Then, his body moved and he immediately flew forward. In front of him, he could sense the aura of a large number of disciples of the universe of faith. Soon, he arrived in front of an even larger puddle. This puddle had more than 1,000 gods and disciples who worshipped the cosmos. This time, Wang Xian flew over and waved his arm. The power of light and darkness shrouded them and wiped them out silently. At this point, they did not even know how they died. After wiping them out, Wang Xian continued flying forward. Every time he came across a puddle, he could see thousands of disciples of the universe of faith cultivating in it. Wang Xian flew over and annihilated all of them without making a sound. In addition, Wang Xian performed 2 soul-searching and obtained all the information about this place from them. In the middle of this treasure land, there was a huge puddle. It could not be called a puddle, but a lake. In the lake, there were 3,000 disciples of the universe of faith and 15 7th-rank disciples. Wang Xian's eyes were shining with excitement when he saw most of the disciples of the universe of faith cultivating. The energy of these gods was contained within the heart of faith. In other words, even if he killed them, he wouldn't be able to convert them into dragon blood. However, their heart of faith could greatly increase and shorten the breakthrough time of the disciples of Dragon Palace. With sufficient resources in the Dragon Palace, coupled with enough heart of faith, the Dominator-level experts of the Dragon Palace would improve at a terrifying speed. Under normal circumstances, a sovereign realm expert with sufficient resources would need tens of millions of years to advance from the first-order sovereign realm to the first-order sovereign realm. It might even take hundreds of millions of years. If 2 or 3 out of 10 peak Venerable Realm experts managed to break through to the Sovereign Realm, the chances of breaking through to the Sovereign Realm were extremely high. There were also 2 or 3 First-Order Sovereigns who had advanced to the Second-Order Sovereign Realm. However, there was a huge gap between peak Venerable Realm experts and First-Order Sovereign Realm experts. Other than that, only 2 or 3 out of 10 people could break through from the Second-Order Sovereign Realm to the Third-Order Sovereign Realm. That was how low the probability was. This was also the reason why there were so few top-notch experts. Sometimes, in order to break through a shackle, experts in the Sovereign Realm would need hundreds of millions of years or even billions of years. However, if they had heart of faith, it would be a different story. If 10 First-Order Sovereigns absorbed the same level of heart of faith, 7 or 8 of them could break through to the Second-Order Sovereign Realm. Moreover, with sufficient resources, the time would be even shorter. If there was an unlimited supply of heart of faith, the success rate would be almost 100%. This was the strength of the heart of faith. The power of heart of faith could help all living beings break through. Wang Xian looked at the 3,000 gods of faith in front of him, his eyes burning with passion. Between universes, many were mortal enemies, the kind that would not rest until one of them was dead. This had nothing to do with right or wrong, but the alignment. When the disciples of the 9 Origins universe and the Faith universe met, there was no hesitation on both sides. The Faith universe wanted to turn the disciples of the Nine Origins universe into their own believers to increase their strength. The Rescue universe wanted to kill the gods of faith to increase their strength. There was almost no possibility of reconciliation in the battle. Therefore, Wang Xian had no qualms about killing the gods of the Faith universe. This was the law of the universe. The strong survived and the weak were ants. He was an ant that couldn't even think. Just as all the gods of faith were cultivating, Wang Xian waved his arm, and the Tai Chi diagram of the Tai Chi dragon instantly enveloped the entire pit. The dozen or so seventh-order gods instantly felt the arrival of great terror and the threat of death. However, in the next second, they did not see or feel anything, and they were suppressed by a terrifying force. Then they lost all consciousness. Wang wang wang. Wang wang wang. Among them, dozens of rays of light of faith enveloped the gods of faith, causing their bodies to gradually disappear. They used a very special method to escape. Among them were 3 seventh-order gods of faith. Wang Xian saw this scene, but did not feel anything. It was normal for the gods of the faith universe to have treasures that could save their lives. In addition, when Wang Xian attacked just now, the gods of the faith universe did not sense who was targeting them. In fact, they did not even sense anything. There was a high possibility that they would think that it was an attack by a giant space beast. After all, to be able to wipe out over 3,000 gods, including a dozen or so seventh-order gods, in an instant, it was definitely a ninth-order god or above. And in the starry universe, only giant space beasts could possess such strength. Now, no one knew that Wang Xian possessed such terrifying strength. No one knew that Lan Qingyue and the rest had already reached the sixth-order sovereign realm. After wiping out over 3,000 experts of the god of faith, he waved his arm and collected all the corpses. Then he continued flying forward. In front of him, there were still tens of thousands of disciples of the faith universe. There were also a few hundred experts of the god of faith level. Relying on the Tai Chi dragon plate to conceal himself, Wang Xian flew over and killed all of them silently. There was no eruption of energy or battle. They were easily killed. Chapter 38:19. This is a huge harvest. Wang Xian looked at all his gains with excitement in his eyes. Tens of thousands of corpses of belief universe's gods and disciples. Although there were only more than 4,000 Pantheon level, and most of them were believers below the Pantheon level, it was still a terrifying amount of resources for the Dragon Palace. Those low-level hearts of faith, if consumed in large quantities, would also bring great effects. With so many hearts of faith, the improvement speed of the Dragon Palace disciples would increase by 100 times. This time, so many gods and disciples of belief universe have been killed. They should have received the news. Wang Xian stood in the sky above this treasure land with a smile on his face. He wasn't ready to leave immediately. With so many Faith Universe gods being killed, the Faith Universe would definitely send their experts over to investigate the matter. At that time, Wang Xian just had to wait here and he could kill more gods of Belief Universe. Other than that, Wang Xian was ready to study this treasure land. Every treasure land had its own uniqueness. The effect of this treasure land was indeed great. It was also very useful for the disciples of the Dragon Palace. In addition, he was curious about the black liquid in the lake. This liquid was very special. It was like a special mineral metal, a special substance. For some reason, it had turned into liquid. This liquid seemed to share the same energy with the entire treasure land. However, even with Wang Xian's strength, he couldn't destroy this treasure land. Wang Xian landed in a lake and entered it. He quietly felt the energy in it. It's very special. It can change and enhance the strength of the physical body. Wang Xian sat cross-legged in it for a few days before he slowly opened his eyes. He took out the communication stone plate and sent a message to Enlai. A few minutes later, Enlai appeared in the devil spirit altar in front of Wang Xian. At the same time, there was another figure beside him. Roving Crab, the devouring dragon. The improvement of the devouring dragon was a little special. It had completely inherited the characteristics of the insect clan. It could only improve by devouring large amounts of resources, treasures, and god nations. Devouring metals could also improve the devouring dragon. However, the metals obtained from the storm mainland were all used by Wang Xian. This also resulted in the devouring dragon being very weak now. It was the weakest existence in the Dragon Palace, because their progress was different from the other disciples of Dragon Palace. If they wanted to break through, they needed to devour a ruler's divine kingdom. Of course, if there were resources comparable to a ruler's divine kingdom, he could also devour them. The devouring dragon's main attributes were darkness and earth, followed by physical strength. The insect race relied on their own power, the power of corrosion, and the power of the earth attribute. Wang Xian could sense that this special treasure land would be useful to the devouring dragon. "Greetings, Dragon King." Ao Xie bowed respectfully to Wang Xian. "Ao Xie, come and see if you can absorb the energy here." Wang Xian ordered Roving Crab. Roving Crab inherited the insect race. As long as the insect race had energy, they would be able to devour it. Powerful energy should be able to help them improve. "It's Dragon King." Roving Crab nodded and swayed its huge body. The scales on its body unfurled and black energy surged into its body. Sensing this energy, Ao Xie's eyes lit up. "Dragon King, the level of this energy is very high. Our devouring dragon can indeed absorb it. Moreover, I can feel that my strength and body are increasing rapidly. I can replace the ruler kingdom." Roving Crab said excitedly. Currently, the improvement of the devouring dragon had been stagnant for a long time. "That means? You can break through quickly by devouring this energy?" Wang Xian stared at him and asked. "Yes, Dragon King. For us devouring dragons to break through to the ruler realm, it depends on the level of the materials we devour and the divine kingdom. For example, when we reach the first-order sovereign realm and want to break through to the second-order sovereign realm, we will need second-order materials or divine kingdoms for our breakthrough. We have to absorb items stronger than us to forcefully change the energy in our body and complete the breakthrough. We don't have the shackles to break through, but we will need materials or divine kingdoms that are of a higher level than us." Roving Crab said. This method of breakthrough sounded simple, but in reality, it was extremely difficult. For example, how could a first-order sovereign realm cultivator obtain a second-order sovereign realm's divine kingdom? In particular, there was one very important point. That was, the devouring dragon could only fight 2 levels above them. In other words, their second-order sovereign realm strength was only comparable to a first-order sovereign realm. This was extremely awkward. Breaking through required a divine kingdom and materials that were 1 level higher than them, but their combat strength was 1 level lower than those in the same realm. There was only one way for a first-order sovereign realm devouring dragon to kill a second-order sovereign realm expert and obtain a divine kingdom. That was to have thousands of devouring dragons in the same realm as them. Win with numbers, hunt down high-level devouring dragons, and complete the breakthrough. Of course, the characteristics of the Zerg race also led to the birth of a terrifying number of devouring dragons. If Roving Crab was willing, he could even give birth to billions of devouring dragons. However, without energy, they would be much weaker. "How much can the energy here help you improve?" Wang Xian looked at him and asked. Roving Crab shook his head. "Dragon King, I'm weaker. I don't know." "In that case, you and your subordinates can improve here first. I'll guard this place for you." Wang Xian nodded his head and said to him. However, according to Wang Xian's conjecture, the energy contained in this treasured land was at least at the 8th order sovereign realm if 7th order gods could cultivate here. Perhaps it could help the devouring dragons in the Dragon Palace to improve tremendously. After all, the devouring dragons could improve without any restrictions. As long as there was energy, their improvement speed would be terrifying. Wang wang wang. At this time, Roving Crab's body shook, and 2 million devouring dragons emerged from his body. An army of devouring dragons was lying in the lake, absorbing the energy rapidly. Wang Xian's eyes lit up when he saw it. He moved and flew up into the sky, hiding in the sky above the treasured land. The concealment of the power of light and darkness made him appear as though he was in another space. Wang Xian waited here quietly as a guardian. Why did so many gods and believers of our heavenly imperial palace die in an instant? At the same time, at the right side of the Faith Universe passage, a group of gods floated quietly in the air. A middle-aged man suddenly opened his eyes and his expression changed. Chapter 38:20. The Celestial Imperial Palace was one of the 24 palaces of the Faith Universe. Among the 24 palaces, the Heavenly Imperial Palace was one of the top 3 existences. There were many gods in the palace. In the Faith Universe, the death of a faith god could be sensed by the powerful faith gods. It was possible to get information from the believers of the gods of death. Once they died, the followers of the gods of death would lose their connection with the gods of death, and they would be able to sense that the gods they believed in had fallen. The Heavenly Imperial Palace had more than a dozen rank 7 gods, more than 4,000 gods, and tens of thousands of elite disciples. Now that someone had died while breaking through, the Heavenly Imperial Palace expert paled. The death of so many gods was a huge loss to the Heavenly Imperial Palace. What happened? At the side, an old woman looked at the middle-aged man and asked in surprise when she noticed the changes in him. Tens of thousands of our gods and disciples died in a short period of time. More than 4,000 gods and a dozen tier 7 gods died. The middle-aged man said with a sullen face. What? Why did so many of them suddenly die? Could it be that he was killed in a battle in the 9 Essences universe? The old woman's expression changed slightly as she hurriedly asked. No, he didn't go out to kill the gods and disciples of the 9 Essences universe. He must have gone to the Black Book treasure area. All of the gods, disciples must have been wiped out in a short period of time. It's possible that he ran into a 6th grade astral beast, or a 7th or even 8th grade astral beast. As the middle-aged man spoke, he waved his arm and a special communicator appeared. How many of them have life-saving treasures? Let me ask them. The middle-aged man sent a message. 10 minutes later, a message arrived. The Black Scripture treasure land was attacked, but they didn't find the enemy. It should be a powerful astral beast. The middle-aged man looked at the message and said with a gloomy face. This caused the old woman to frown slightly. Send someone to investigate and see what kind of giant star beast it is. The location of the Black Book treasure location isn't too close to the center of the 9 Origins universe. We'll need to send some experts there to investigate the situation. The middle-aged man nodded. Also, inform the gods of the other palaces of this news and let them make some preparations. As he spoke, he glanced around and continued, ask them to send some experts to investigate as well. That's right. We, the 24 palaces, made an agreement before entering the Starry Sky universe. Since something like this has happened, we need them to come and investigate. The old woman nodded. More than a dozen rank 7 gods from the Heavenly Imperial Palace were killed without a sound. Even the gods who survived with their life-saving treasures didn't know how they died. We have to be careful this time. If that giant star beast is still there, we'll test it out and leave immediately. A year later, at the location in front of the Faith Universe known as the Black Codex Treasure Ground, more than 20 figures flew over. They stood on a glowing boat and stared ahead vigilantly. More than 20 rank 7 gods had come with powerful treasures and were preparing to investigate the situation and come up with countermeasures. After all, such a powerful giant star beast was active in the vicinity. This was a huge threat to the disciples of the gods who believed in the cosmos. They had to deal with it. He had to investigate clearly so that he could be prepared to deal with it. It's right in front. Let's go. The voice continued. On the flying boat, more than 20 figures stared at the Black Codex treasure ground. Wang Xian moved forward cautiously, his eyes constantly scanning the area. He approached the Black Codex treasure ground slowly. At the same time, Wang Xian, who was hiding in the space above the Black Codex treasure ground, sensed the gods of faith rushing over. His eyes lit up. He looked over and saw a boat flying over. On the boat, there were 23 rank 7 gods. The Conviction universe sure has a lot of experts. It actually sent 23 tier 7 gods to investigate this place. How amazing! Wang Xian sized it up and sighed in his heart. His gaze landed on the boat, and he could sense an extremely strong defensive power from it. This was a boat formed by the terrifying power of faith. It had a strong defense. The boat flew towards the Black Codex treasure ground and soon arrived near Wang Xian. They didn't notice Wang Xian hiding here. Wang Xian smiled when he saw them approaching. This time, he still didn't want to show himself. Waves of darkness and light power extended towards them. Don't you guys feel like there's a great terror enveloping us? Suddenly, one of the gods on the boat narrowed his eyes and asked. Indeed, it's a heart-palpitating feeling. To be able to make us feel such fear, it must be a 6th or 7th order sovereign realm giant space beast. Damn it, that giant space beast hasn't left yet. One of the rank 7 gods of faith nodded as he stared in the direction of the Black Codex treasure ground. His eyes were filled with caution and seriousness. This terrifying aura definitely belonged to a powerful giant space beast. At this moment, a roar resounded. All they felt was a huge change in the surrounding space. Terrifying light and darkness engulfed them in an instant. Oh no, that giant space beast is extremely strong. One of the believers hurriedly shouted loudly. The boat beneath them unleashed a defensive power of faith. The defense enveloped them completely. Kakaka. Oh no. We're done for. However, this defense didn't even last for a second before collapsing. An unparalleled pressure engulfed them. The faces of the 23 Tier 7 gods were filled with shock. Several Tier 7 gods released a pillar of faith from their bodies, and they instantly disappeared. The remaining 19 could only feel the terror descending upon them. The terrifying pressure and energy killed them instantly. There was no room for struggle. The difference was too great. Wang Xian saw this scene. A smile appeared on his face. No matter how strong the rank 7 gods were, or how powerful their treasures were, they could at most contend with a 5th order sovereign realm giant space beast. In other words, they had the strength of a level 8 sovereign. If they were stronger, they could contend with 4 to 5 level 8 sovereigns. However, Wang Xian's Tai Chi Dragon Plate could easily kill a rank 9 god. They didn't have the strength to resist at all. Nor did they have the capital to resist. This time, they were killed instantly before they could even see what was attacking them. I guess they will behave themselves after this. Perhaps they will treat this place as a forbidden ground. Wang Xian kept the corpses and revealed a smile. Chapter 3821. 1. Oh no! At the passageway between the Faith Universe and the Starry Universe, a middle-aged god of the Celestial Imperial Palace was sitting there with his eyes closed. Suddenly, he opened his eyes and revealed an embarrassed expression. Huh! The old lady beside him frowned as she looked at him. The people from the Black Book treasured land are dead again, the middle-aged god said with a solemn expression. He picked up a faith communication stone plate and sent out a message. Dead again. The old woman beside him frowned slightly. In the surrounding area, the other deities of the 24 palaces also received the news, and their eyes shone with brilliance. Even before they died, they couldn't sense what kind of cosmic beast killed them. It seems like the cosmic beast was at least a 6th order sovereign, or maybe even a 7th or 8th order sovereign. Not far away, one of the gods who believed in the universe said, "Spread the word. Make the Black Book treasured land a forbidden area for the time being. Don't go there." The middle-aged god said helplessly. They had lost over 47th order gods there. The starry universe of the Black Book treasured land was no longer something they could handle. Now, they could only give up on that place and make it a forbidden area. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to bear any more losses. The starry universe is the territory of the cosmic beasts after all. One of the gods sighed. Given their strength, they didn't dare to enter the starry universe. That was because the cosmic beasts inside would hunt them down. At that time, an 8th or 9th order sovereign would be enough to annihilate them. If they didn't have any life-saving treasures, they wouldn't even be able to escape. Therefore, they couldn't do anything about the existence of a terrifying cosmic beast in the Black Book treasured land. They could only make it a forbidden area and forbid the gods from going there. Our heavenly imperial palace has suffered great losses this time. Fortunately, we have gained the upper hand in the war with the nine-source universe. We have recruited many believers who came to rescue the universe. The old lady said to the middle-aged man with a faint smile. The middle-aged man nodded. Good news kept coming from their war with the nine-source universe. They're not coming? For the next dozen years, Wang Xian remained hidden above the Black Book treasured land. More than a dozen years had passed, and he didn't see any more gods coming. This brought a smile to his face. Just as he had predicted, the successive heavy losses made them not dare to send any more experts over. They should be really afraid. Then they can leave by themselves. There's a lot of news from the North Frost Orochi. Wang Xian murmured. Recently, although he had been here, Yamada no Demon Fiend and the others had been searching for the gods of the universe. Furthermore, once they were found, the 5 elements grindstone would be able to kill them instantly. During this period of time, Yamada no Demon Sha and the others had used the 5 elements grind to kill thousands of gods who believed in the universe. Let's go! Wang Xian sensed the location of the 5 elements grindstone. In a flash, he flew towards it. A year later, Wang Xian met up with the North Frost Devil Fiend 8 branches. Master! Dragon King! Hose Huang, Orochi, and the rest shouted excitedly at Wang Xian. During this period of time, their harvest was extremely huge. With so many resources, it wouldn't be long before they broke through. Bei Shuang, you can leave now. Go back to the Dragon Palace and continue to improve your strength. Wang Xian looked at them and said. This time, he had asked them to come here mainly to hone themselves and gain a deeper understanding of the gods who believed in the universe. To say that they could be of much help, there wasn't much. They were still too weak. In addition, I have a large number of hearts of faith here. Bring them back. As Wang Xian spoke, he set up a devil spirit altar at the side and Enlai appeared quickly. Yes, Dragon King. Bei Shuang and the rest nodded. They also knew they were weak, especially in this place where there were experts from the universe. After Bei Shuang and the rest left, Wang Xian kept the 5 elements grindstone and flew to the left. According to the information Bei Shuang and the rest received, there were many experts from the universe who believed in the universe active there. Hiding in the void, Wang Xian kept flying towards that direction. He relied on the concealment ability of the Tai Chi Dragon Coil. Only rank 8 gods could possibly detect him. In addition, it was possible that he possessed an extremely powerful detection treasure. However, it was obvious that rank 8 gods couldn't enter the Starry Sky universe. Therefore, in this place, Wang Xian was basically invincible against the Faith universe and Nine-Source universe. After flying for a few years, Wang Xian saw dozens of gods from the universe who believed in the universe flying ahead. He moved and came to his side. Soul capture. Before they could react, Wang Xian controlled them in an instant. Streams of information were transmitted into his mind. The 24 palaces, Decree Palace, Void Spirit Paradise. Wang Xian's eyes lit up when he received the news. The 24 palaces of the Faith universe had sent a large number of gods into the Starry Sky universe. In these millions of years, they had found many treasure lands in the Starry Sky universe. These treasure lands were occupied by them to enhance their strength. The Void Spirit Paradise was a powerful treasure land that the Decree Palace had recently found. This Void Spirit Paradise was a treasure land that could strengthen souls. The power of faith involved the power of souls. A place that could strengthen souls was naturally an extremely powerful treasure land for the gods who believed in the universe. They could use the soul power contained in that place to forge soul armors through their special methods. Forge soul battle spirits. They could use their own power of faith and some combat skills to create a soul battle spirit, forming an incomparably powerful subordinate. Just like the Nether clan's Nether Ghost Doppelganger. They could use their special methods to create special Nether Ghost Doppelganger. In addition, they could forge soul battle armors that also had extremely powerful defensive capabilities. At present, this Void Spirit Paradise was the strongest treasure land occupied by the 24 palaces of the Faith universe. This treasure land was occupied by Decree Palace. However, in order to obtain it, more than a dozen palaces had worked together to kill the powerful giant star beasts that occupied this place. At that time, the dozen palaces had sent thousands of rank 7 gods. Thousands of such powerful existences had occupied this place. One could imagine the strength of the giant star beasts guarding this place. One could also imagine the importance of this place to the gods of the universe. Chapter 38:22 The Land of Hollow Spirits. This place might be of some use to me. Wang Xian mumbled to himself. With a jerk of his body, he continued to fly forward. According to the information he had received, the Land of Hollow Spirits mainly targeted the soul. Wouldn't it be of great use to the Dark Ghost Doppelganger? After all, the Dark Ghost Doppelganger was a pure form of soul power. The uniqueness of the Dark Clan was that they could ignore physical attacks. Wang Xian had a hunch that the Land of Hollow Spirits would be of great use to his Dark Ghost Doppelganger. He kept flying forward. That direction belonged to the center of the starry sky universe. 5 years later, Wang Xian looked around with glistening eyes. In these 5 years of flying, he had met thousands of gods and disciples of the faith universe, all of whom he had easily killed. I'm here. The Land of Hollow Spirits is just ahead. There seemed to be tens of thousands of gods inside. Wang Xian looked ahead with excitement in his eyes. The void ahead was very special. The entire void was dusky and contained a strange energy. This energy gave living beings a very comfortable feeling. Even though Wang Xian was far away, he could still feel his mind clear. This made his eyes shine. This was a treasure land. In this treasure land ahead, gods from more than a dozen palaces were cultivating here. With the Order Palace as the leader, the other dozen palaces also had many experts here. This was the biggest treasure land in the faith universe. Only experts at the level of gods could reach this place. Wang Xian flew in. As he neared, he immediately felt a wave of energy engulfing him. Wang Xian focused and activated the yin-yang space of the Tai Chi Dragon Board. His entire body was instantly placed in a special space. After the energy swept past, it did not detect Wang Xian's arrival. This is? Wang Xian looked ahead with glistening eyes. The treasure land in front of them was guarded by a powerful detection treasure. As the greatest treasure land in the faith universe, it definitely had powerful defense and attack. That scouting power just now almost discovered me. This is a very powerful treasure. Wang Xian murmured. For him to use all the power of the Tai Chi Dragon Board to barely evade the detection, the treasure inside should be close to rank 9. After all, the Tai Chi Dragon Plate could easily kill a Tier 9 god. Wang Xian flew forward carefully. As soon as he stepped into the domain, he could feel an extremely comfortable soul energy. This power was ownerless and could be absorbed and condensed. When pure soul power was gathered together, it could be forged into a powerful treasure. Moreover, Wang Xian realized that the soul energy here could greatly enhance the doppelganger of Dark Ghost. In fact, Wang Xian could even feel a strong suction force coming from the position of his heart. This was the throbbing of the soul returning wood branch. The branch of the soul returning would seem to yearn for this space very much. Wang Xian's eyes shone with excitement. This was indeed a treasure land. If one could occupy this place, they might be able to obtain an unexpected harvest. He looked around. The deeper he went, the denser the soul power became. There weren't any gods in the surroundings. He went deeper inside, and soon, a gray black hole appeared in his line of sight. The black hole was enormous, and all of the soul energy was coming from it. There were tens of thousands of gods around the black hole. Above these tens of thousands of gods was an incomparably huge shadow of faith. If you looked closely, you would see that the faith projection was actually made up of countless tiny figures. They were all sitting cross-legged, chanting, singing, and praising. Streams of power of faith gathered together. This stalwart figure contained an extremely powerful battle prowess. Wang Xian was a little shocked by this combat strength. What is this? Is this their way of guarding this place? This majestic figure formed by endless faith power is at least as strong as 7 to 8 Tier 8 gods. Wang Xian looked on, his eyes filled with shock. In another tens of millions of years, this faith of war god will be formed successfully. At that time, it will have strength comparable to us Tier 9 gods. This will make it easier for us to occupy bigger treasure lands. In addition, it will be able to annihilate all those from the 9-source universe in the Starry Sky universe. At this time, a voice suddenly sounded from ahead. He indeed. When that time comes, the resources of the entire Starry Sky universe will belong to us. Through this faith of war god, we will be able to obtain more astral beast believers. A middle-aged man not far away said excitedly. Clearly, this was a 10-million-year plan of the faith universe. Tens of millions of years was not considered a long time for experts of this level. Now, a few years was just the time it took to travel. Upon hearing their words, Wang Xian looked at the bottom of the faith apparition. Below the phantom, there were many books. The books were densely packed with faith runes. There were more than a dozen books with faith runes slowly flying up into the sky. They were guiding the soul power in the black hole towards the faith of war god. Wang Xian looked at this scene with a contemplative look on his face. He was considering if he should make a move. But after some hesitation, he did not make a move. This group of people was using this special method to guide the soul power to create a faith of war god. He could continue waiting. When this faith of war god reached the level of a Tier 9 war god, he could directly make a move. Snatch it away. Wouldn't that be perfect? Thinking of this, Wang Xian smiled and retreated. To prevent any accidents, he did not leave, but waited here slowly. He was prepared to wait for tens of millions of years. To Wang Xian, tens of millions of years was not a long time. And the development of the Dragon Palace also required time. Be it the Charm Dragon or the Devouring Dragon. The Charm Dragon was improving at a rapid pace. The Devouring Dragon occupied the Black Book treasure ground, and its speed of improvement was abnormally terrifying. As for the Dragon Palace, because it had obtained the faith hearts of thousands of faith of the gods of the faith universe, its improvement would also be very fast. Time passed quickly. The battle between the 9-source universe and the faith universe continued. In the beginning, the faith universe had a slight upper hand. But later on, the sorcerer race exploded with terrifying combat power and killed many of the gods of faith. The skeleton race also exploded with the skeleton army, displaying the horror of the skeleton army. Soon, both sides were in a stalemate. Chapter 38:23. As time passed, Wang Xian waited quietly in the void of the Void Spirit treasured land. He was very patient. He sat cross-legged in the illusory space, hiding. In the center of the Void Spirit treasured land, the gods of the universe of faith were building a powerful god of war. Millions of years passed in the blink of an eye. In these millions of years, Wang Xian did not get any improvements, nor did he get any treasures. But for the treasures in front of him, this time was not a waste. Wang Xian's current resources were enough for him to advance 2 levels. However, it was not that he could not break through again in the Starry Sky universe. Once he did, he would be attacked by powerful giant space beasts. In these millions of years, he would occasionally pay attention to the war between the 9-source universe and the universe of faith. The current war was not as tragic as it should have been. It had always been a form of guerrilla warfare. He would find some information about the other party and then set up an ambush. Now, the 9-source universe and the universe of faith were in the form of an army. Later, they became small groups. Then they gradually divided into 2 battlefields. Because the strength of both sides was about the same. The hegemon and the gods were fighting in the center of the battlefield, harvesting resources as they fought. The followers of the rulers and the universe of faith were fighting in the outer areas. Not only did this war not reduce the power of the 9-source universe, but it also gave birth to many ruler-level experts. If it was in the 9-source universe, for the experts of the advanced races, their chances of breaking through, even during the cataclysm, were not high. But in the starry universe, as long as they could hunt a disciple of the same level from the universe of faith, then their chances of breaking through would increase by 50%. This caused a large number of ruler-level experts to be born in just a few million years. Among the advanced races, there were no less than 1,000 known experts who had broken through. After all, there were too many disciples of the advanced races. The 13 pinnacle races added up could not even match 1/10 of them. The advanced races improved quickly, and the other pinnacle races also improved greatly. The Dragon Palace had gained a few thousand ruler-level experts. Over at the Dragon Palace, although Wang Xian had always been here, the resources that the Dragon Palace received were no less than the other pinnacle races. Because of the existence of Lan Qingyue and the others, the Dragon Palace had gained a lot. The appearance of so many powerful experts also caused many disciples of the Nine Essences universe to pour into it. After all, it would only take a few decades for an ordinary high-level race to give birth to a newborn. The reproduction of a race was still very fast. With the deaths of living beings, even more living beings from the Nine Essences cosmos would arrive in search of fortuitous encounters. They would either become stronger, die, or be ordinary. This kind of battle had lasted for more than 10 million years. More than 10 million years later, Conviction seemed to have dispatched even more experts to the battlefield. This time, they brought a total of 8 fifth-order sovereigns with them. As a result, the Nine Essences universe was suddenly attacked, and several powerful experts of the Witch tribe were killed. A large number of skeletons were destroyed. There were also other peak races that were accepted as believers. Due to the sudden turn of events, the other pinnacle races contacted Wang Xian. They wanted Lan Qingyue to bring Kuan to the battlefield. During this period of time, Lan Qingyue had been searching for resources and had not participated in the battle. After all, the Dragon Palace had too few resources. Occupying more treasured lands would be of great benefit to the development of the Dragon Palace. As for the war, they could participate at any time. At that time, with the strength of Xiaolan and the rest, wouldn't it be a piece of cake? Therefore, Wang Xian only took a look at the battle formation and did not take it to heart. You want the Dragon Palace to participate in the war? Wang Xian looked at the individual communication group of the pinnacle races. A group of experts from the pinnacle races wanted the Dragon Palace to help restrain the 8 fifth-order sovereigns. That works too. Wang Xian pondered for a moment, then sent a message in the communication stone plate. Sure, our Dragon Palace will send a Kuan to the battlefield. After sending the message, he informed Lan Qingyue. This time, they would send Xiaolan. The Nine Essences universe did not know that Xiaolan, Xiaobai, Xiaoyao, and the rest had advanced to the 6th-order sovereigns. They all thought that Lan Qingyue and the rest were only comparable to the 8th-order sovereigns on their side. In fact, they could already reach the 9th-order sovereigns. It was enough to send one over. Moreover, they could also hide the strength of the Dragon Palace. Dragon King. A Kuan king can only hold back 2 fifth-order sovereigns at most. Can the Dragon Palace send out all of their forces? This is a war between our Nine Essences universe and the universe of faith. Moreover, the gods of faith that you kill will belong to the Dragon Palace. As soon as Wang Xian sent the message, an expert from the Sorcerer tribe said in the communication group, "That's right. I think Dragon King can let Dragon Queen Lan Qingyue lead all the Kuan to the battlefield. You can kill a large number of gods of faith. It will be beneficial to the development of the Dragon Palace." The expert from the Divine Tiger tribe also said, "I have a Kuan that broke through not long ago. Sending that one is enough." At this time, Lan Qingyue sent a message in the communication group. After this message was sent, the entire communication group fell silent for a few seconds. Even for the powerhouses of the Peak clans, when they saw this news, they were also shocked. Breakthrough? One of the Kuan of the ancient god of Dragon Palace broke through? Wouldn't that be comparable to the 9th-order sovereigns of their pinnacle races? In the starry cosmos, wouldn't this mean that the disciples of the Nine Essences universe and the universe of faith would be able to wipe them out? Of course, it might be an exaggeration to say that they could wipe them out. If the few pinnacle races really wanted to fight for treasures, they could also bring out the strength of the 9th-order sovereigns. But the pinnacle races, less than half of them could do it. And this was under the circumstances of not caring about the losses. But now, it already had the strength of the Ninth Order sovereigns? This was too crazy. The Dragon Palace was invincible in the starry cosmos. Congratulations on the breakthrough of the Kuan that the Dragon Queen reared. With your Kuan, we can totally wipe them out. An expert from the sorcerer tribe sighed and said respectfully, "Tell me the location of the gods of the universe of faith. I will bring my Kuan over and wipe them out." Lan Qingyue said directly. The group of pinnacle races answered immediately. Next, Lan Qingyue led Xiao Lan into the battlefield. Chapter 38-24. Lan Qingyue stepped into the battlefield. A group of pinnacle races provided her with information, and she destroyed them. However, this time, only the sorcerer race and the skeleton race provided 2 pieces of information. One was about the 8 giant galactic beasts, and the other was about a powerful army from the Faith universe. Lan Qingyue brought Xiao Lan over and annihilated them with ease, obtaining over 3,000 hearts of faith from the various deities. Among them, there were a total of 18 rank 7 gods. She obtained more than 20,000 hearts of faith from the ordinary Faith universe believers. She had gained a lot from this battle. However, after Lan Qingyue got rid of the 2 Faith universe forces, the other pinnacle races did not send her any more information. The gods of the Faith universe was a double-edged sword to the pinnacle races. They wanted to destroy them and obtain the hearts of faith. However, they hoped that their pinnacle races would be the ones to destroy them, not the other pinnacle races. The Dragon Palace had destroyed so many gods of the Faith universe and obtained a terrifying amount of hearts of faith. There would be more experts born naturally than them. These hearts of faith made them envious. Therefore, the other pinnacle races did not report any information. Wang Xian, Lan Qingyue, and the rest did not care. Compared to the number of gods of the Faith universe and their believers on the battlefield, Wang Xian had more. It was much more convenient to hunt here than on the battlefield. If not for Wang Xian's fear of killing the gods of the Faith universe out of the starry universe, he would have attacked without restraint. There was no need to hide his identity. Damn it. We suffered such heavy losses this time. 8 Fifth-order sovereigns were killed, and more than a dozen rank 7 gods were killed. At the passage between the starry universe and the Faith universe, an old man from the Dragon Palace looked gloomy. There is a powerful ancient god in the Dragon Palace of the 9 Origins universe, the Dragon Queen. Her Kuan is not suppressed in the starry universe. The Kuan that killed her should have reached the 6th-order sovereign realm. Not far away, a pantheon expert from another palace said with a slight frown, "This is indeed a huge problem. Who would have thought that there would be such a mysterious existence in the 9 Origins universe?" The old man frowned and looked around. Obviously, the other forces had also received the news. They were able to take in some of the experts of the 9 Essences universe as believers, so they naturally had a good understanding of the 9 Essences universe. They were well aware of all the powers and experts in the 9 Essences universe. Although a powerful Kuan was very troublesome for them, it was not enough to render them helpless. For example, the Law Palace had created a Faith War god, and it would only take a few more days for it to be completed. The rest of the palaces were also making some arrangements. None of the deity experts in the surroundings spoke. Very soon, the place fell into complete silence. They were not too surprised that the 9 Origins universe could produce such a powerful being. After all, the 9 Essences universe was considered one of the more powerful existences among the other universes. Time continued to pass. Because of Lan Qingyue's sudden intervention, the war between the 9-source cosmos and the Faith cosmos had completely calmed down. Many experts and disciples once again embarked on the journey of searching for treasures. Occasionally, some small-scale battles would break out. Several million years passed again. Buzz, buzz, buzz. At the same time, at the location of the Void Spirit Paradise, a powerful energy surged towards the surroundings. At the center of the Void Spirit Paradise, around the black hole, the Faith War god created by soul power had also reached the final stage. Now that 20 million years have passed, They have used the power of the void spirit paradise to create an existence comparable to a rank 9 celestial being. This is considered very fast. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he looked ahead. 20 million years might seem like a long time, but compared to hundreds of millions of years or even a billion years, it was nothing. To create 1 in 20 million years, they could create 10 in 200 million years. This was very cost-effective. Haha, is it going to be a success? At this moment, an excited voice rang out. Wang Xian looked towards the voice and immediately saw a dozen figures flying over. Each of them was a rank 7 celestial being. When he saw them, he smiled. The construction of the Faith War God is complete. Next, it's time to insert some memories. At the centermost position, an old man from the Law Palace said without turning his head. Good. With this Faith War God, we can step into more places, ha. Behind him, a dozen rank 7 celestial beings flew over and said with smiles. They hovered in front of them, looking up and sizing up this Faith War God. Come, let's start inserting memories. The old man from the Law Palace smiled and flipped through the book in his hand. As the book flipped open, faith runes appeared and surged towards the Faith War God. It's time. We can't let them bestow memories and wisdom on this Faith War God. Wang Xian murmured when he saw this. He had waited for this scene for 20 million years. A full 20 million years before they completed the construction of this Faith War God. Once Wang Xian could obtain this Faith War God, he would at least have a fighting strength comparable to a rank 9 celestial being. This was a huge gain. Of course, there were also the hearts of faith from these 10,000 celestial beings. The wait for 20 million years was worth it. Wang. Just as they were about to bestow memories on this Faith War God, Wang Xian moved. Waves of light and darkness power suddenly shrouded the entire space. In addition, what they could not see was that outside of the light and darkness power, there was also the power of the 5 elements. To be on the safe side, Wang Xian activated all the powers of the 5 elements grindstone and the Tai Chi dragon coil. This was comparable to the strength of 6 rank 9 celestial beings. When the terrifying, vast energy shrouded them, the expressions of the gods in the center of the void spirit treasure ground suddenly changed. What's going on? What's happening? Not good. What a terrifying energy, what a terrifying pressure. What's going on? What's attacking us? At this moment, all the Faith War gods scanned their surroundings with fear. Their eyes were filled with vigilance. Rumble. But in the next second, a wave of energy shrouded them. This wave of energy was a mixture of light, darkness, and the 5 elements. The 7 types of energy almost merged together to form a strange energy. Of course, Wang Xian had purposely created this strange energy. He did not want these Faith War Universe guys to escape from the Starry Sky Universe because they knew he was too strong. To him, these Faith War gods were ripe leaks. Chapter 38-25. Wang. No. Book of Faith, the Word of Faith. Sush. The gods of the universe of faith were horrified when they sensed the destructive attack. The dozen or so gods who were holding the faith books immediately waved their arms. Dozens of books flew into the sky at the same time. These books were all powerful treasures of the universe of faith. Every book of faith could match an 8th order sovereign with the help of the words on it. One could imagine the terrifying power that could be unleashed by a dozen books. However, what shocked the gods was that under this terrifying attack, the words of faith in the dozens of books crumbled instantly. They didn't have the ability to resist at all. How is this possible? The gods of the universe of faith were in disbelief when they saw this scene. They could not believe it. With the power of the books of faith, this was equivalent to a dozen 8th order sovereigns. If such a terrifying force could collapse instantly, what kind of existence was attacking them? Everyone was shocked. No, I want to die. Seeing the energy engulfing them, everyone's faces were filled with shock. Despair was written all over their faces. Arg! But soon, screams of despair rang out. More than 10,000 gods had died under this terrifying force. That was more than 10,000 gods. Among them, there were more than 30 7th-order sovereigns. The group of 7th-order sovereigns who had just arrived were even more miserable. They had just arrived and suffered such a fatal attack. It was too tragic. 10 seconds later, the screams disappeared completely. They did not even know who attacked them. They did not know where the enemy was. They died in such a sullen manner. More importantly, their war god of faith had just been completed. Wang Xian smiled after killing more than 10,000 gods. He waved his hand and kept all the corpses. Then he looked at the 15 books of faith floating in the air. Just now, these 15 books had exploded with a powerful energy. But it was a pity that they were facing the combined attack of the 5 elements grindstone and the Tai Chi dragon coil. Under such power, even 9th-order sovereigns would be killed in an instant. After keeping the 15 books of faith, he did not check them immediately. Instead, he flew towards the war god of faith. Although it was called the war god of faith, it was just a condensation of spiritual power. It was similar to Dark Ghost's avatar. Moreover, it was different from Nether Ghost's avatar in that it couldn't be controlled at will. Wang Xian stared at the war god and tried to sense it. The power contained within it was comparable to a 9th-order sovereign realm expert. If he could make it his own, it would indeed increase his combat strength by a lot. Wang Xian stared at it with a contemplative look on his face. He did not know how to use it. He had a way, which was to let the dead disciples of the Dragon Palace fuse into the body of the Soul War God through the Soul Reincarnation Fruit. Then, he could control it and turn it into an expert of the Nether Clan. Become a powerful soul body. Other than that, Huang Xiaolong wanted his Nether Ghost clone to absorb it. If he could absorb it, his Nether Ghost clone would be able to reach the 9th-order sovereign realm. Of course, it was still hard to say whether it could be achieved. This was because the Dark Race had yet to claim that their Dark Ghost avatar's cultivation realm was higher than their own. However, Wang Xian felt that it wasn't impossible for the Nether Ghost doppelganger to be stronger than him. This soul had been transformed by the power of faith, and it had reached the same realm. After his Dark Ghost avatar devoured it, it would no longer be shackled. Therefore, there was still a high possibility of a breakthrough. No, I can't let the Dark Ghost doppelganger improve. It would be a waste if I did it myself in the future. But there's a way to forge it into a weapon. As Wang Xian spoke, he stared at the soul shadow. He moved and enveloped it with energy. However, he soon realized that his energy couldn't move it at all. This soul shadow had been fixed in this form by the gods of the faith universe. If he wanted to change it, he would need a stronger force to change it. He waved his arm and enveloped it with the power of light and darkness of the Tai Chi dragon plate. Subsequently, the powerful energy changed its appearance. The war god formed by the soul did not have a physical body. Therefore it could change. Wang Xian pondered for a moment and decided to transform it into a ship. Wang Xian wanted to forge it into a powerful weapon. Now that he had the Tai Chi dragon plate for defense and the 5 elements grind for offense, he would transform it into a ship that could attack and carry him in flight. This was a good choice. Soon, the Faith War God formed by the gods of the Faith universe became a soul war ship. After the change in appearance, the next step was to control it. After all, this ship was an inanimate object and had to be controlled. Fuse some of your soul into it, just like an innate cardinal treasure. Wang Xian murmured. Innate cardinal treasures had to be nurtured by oneself. After that, one could control it as he pleased. However, this ship would probably take a long time to nurture. This period of time could even reach as long as a few million years. This was just like a weakling trying to control a powerful treasure. It would take a long time to nurture and get used to it. However, Wang Xian could still accept a few million years. With a thought, Wang Xian sank into it and began to nurture it. Subsequently, with a thought, he came to the space above the black hole of the void spirit paradise. Looking at the soul power that was constantly emanating from it, he moved and the Dark Ghost doppelganger appeared around him. The 4 Dark Ghost doppelganger immediately began to gather the soul power here and condense it into a physical form. This substantial soul power could be used to make soul armors, and it could also be used to upgrade ships. Anything was possible. However, at this time, he moved his palm and took out the 15 books of faith to take a closer look. The gods of the faith universe could use these 15 books to seal the soul power here and quickly condense it. He wanted to explore and see if it was possible. After sensing this faith book, a look of shock quickly appeared on his face. Through his investigation, he discovered that the faith book contained a dimension of its own. In this space, there were a large number of souls. These souls were chanting and praying devoutly. Their souls were constantly emitting energy as they ate this book. In other words, each book was created with the lives of countless living beings. They became believers without any thoughts and prayed in the book of faith. Chapter 38:26. Some of the believers in the universe of faith are really pitiful. Wang Xian murmured, using the power of the believers to create a powerful treasure. Such a method was a little cruel. But this was also the law of the jungle. Wang Xian could not help but lament about this. After all, the universe was huge and there were all kinds of things. In the universe, being weak was the original sin. After looking through 15 books of faith, Wang Xian tried to control them but to no avail. Such books of faith could only be used by the gods that were worshipped by the souls in the books. It was difficult for the other living beings and gods to use them. Of course, the powerful gods could change the target of their faith and control them. But Wang Xian did not have this ability. Therefore, he could only destroy them. The destroyed books of faith would turn into the purest power of faith. This power of faith had the same effect as the heart of faith. It could help the disciples of the Dragon Palace break through quickly. After the books of faith could not be used, it would be a little difficult for Wang Xian to gather all the soul power here. The 4 nether ghosts could not gather all the soul power here. The excess soul force would fill the surroundings, causing this void spirit treasure ground to continuously expand. But Wang Xian did not care. He took out the communication device and sent a message to Enlai. After receiving the message, Enlai came quickly and asked Wang Xian to bring back the gods and books of faith that he had killed. More than 10 million years had passed. In the Dragon Palace, the number of experts who were above the sovereign level had reached about 15,000. That was an incomparably huge number. Moreover, this number was still increasing rapidly. Fire Heart Paradise, Dragon Baptism Pool. In addition, the combat power of the middle level of the Dragon Palace had increased a lot. According to Lan Qingyue's message, the strength of 1,000 succubus dragons had reached the 5th order sovereign realm. The leader of the succubus dragons had reached the 6th order sovereign realm. This was a huge improvement. The 6th order sovereign realm was considered very strong in the starry universe. After all, the experts who entered the starry universe were at most 7th order sovereign realm. The speed of improvement of the succubus dragons was definitely a terrifying existence. If news of this got out, the other pinnacle races would definitely be shocked. In addition, the devouring dragon roving crab was also improving at a terrifying speed. As for how much it had improved, Wang Xian had no idea. Let's take full control of this soul worship first. Wang Xian decided to continue staying here and even had the thought of occupying this place. Moreover, if the faith universe occupied this place for a few 100 million years, wouldn't they be able to create dozens of faith war gods with the strength of Tier 9 gods? At that time, even Wang Xian might be killed if he encountered them. Therefore, this place could not be occupied by the faith universe. Even if he were to leave this place in the future, he was prepared to come back from time to take a look. If any gods of faith came, he would destroy them. As he pondered, he sat cross-legged in the soul worship and began to nurture it. At the same time, after Wang Xian annihilated over 10,000 deities from the Order Palace and the other palaces, the Order Palace, which was located at the passage to the faith universe, immediately received the news. When they sensed that more than 10,000 gods had been killed, their faces instantly darkened. Something happened at the Void Spirit Treasure Land. Elder Fa Gong, what happened? Not far away, one of the gods from the Order Palace also sensed the death of the gods in his palace. His expression changed slightly as he asked the expert from the Order Palace. "We just received the news. Let me ask about it." An elder from the Order Palace took out his communication device with a sullen face and immediately started asking. We suffered a terrifying attack. We didn't discover who the enemy was. More than 10,000 deities were instantly enveloped by a great terror and all of them were killed. Very soon, the elder of the Decree Palace spoke, and a grave expression appeared on his face. Huh! At the Heavenly Imperial Palace, the old man in the middle frowned slightly. Your Order Palace also suffered a terrifying attack? You didn't sense the presence of the enemy? All of them were annihilated? Yes, the Void Spirit Treasure Land. There were 7,000 to 8,000 deities from our Order Palace there. The elder from the Order Palace trembled as he spoke with bloodshot eyes. A strong enemy is targeting us? Our Heavenly Imperial Palace was annihilated without seeing the enemy. This isn't normal. The old man from the Heavenly Imperial Palace spoke with a changing expression. If it was only the Heavenly Imperial Palace that encountered such a problem, it might be because they had encountered a special galactic beast. But now, the Order Palace also encountered the same situation? Was it a coincidence? Wasn't it too much of a coincidence? He faintly felt that there was definitely a powerful and terrifying controller behind this. Our Order Palace's War God of Faith has just been completed. The enemy is very familiar with our Order Palace's information. The elder from the Order Palace spoke with an abnormally ugly expression. At the same time, he began to suspect something. Their Order Palace's War God of Faith was about to be completed, but in the end, it suffered a calamity. Why was this happening? Was there a powerful enemy in the dark? A terrifying existence from the Nine Origins universe? Or was it the work of the deities from the other palaces? This wasn't impossible. The 24 palaces of the Faith universe weren't very harmonious, and they often had battles of faith. In order to compete for believers, there had also been battles. Some of the palaces were even mortal enemies with each other. Now that the galactic universe passageway had opened, they had shifted their internal battles. However, he didn't dare to confirm whether there were some people from the inside who wanted to deal with the Order Palace. It shouldn't be the work of the Faith universe. We all know each other very well. It isn't that easy to instantly annihilate over 10,000 deities. Moreover, according to the resurrected deities, the energy that attacked them wasn't faith power. It was a very strange energy. This energy doesn't seem to be the 9 attributes of the 9 Origins universe. An elder from the Order Palace next to the Order Palace said, well, there's another possibility, which is that it was done by some of the astral beasts in the 9 Essences universe. Everyone, I'm sure you've all heard that the passageway to the 9 Essences universe was opened by some of the astral beasts that live in the 9 Essences universe. Some of those astral beasts are in the boundless God realm, and they're intelligent. Perhaps they made some sort of agreement with the 9 Essences universe. The elder of the Order Palace nodded and made another conjecture. The possibility of this conjecture was very high. Chapter 3827. 2 treasured lands have been occupied consecutively. What should we do now? If the 9-source universe has really reached an agreement with those cosmic beasts, then we have no chance against them. No, I don't think there will be any agreement. Given the strength of the giant star beasts, it would be too easy for them to destroy the gods of the universe they believe in. They could even easily destroy all the gods and disciples of our universe. The conjecture of the elder of the Decree Palace was refuted by an old man beside him. According to the information they had received, the cosmic beasts that had opened the passageway between the 9-source universe and the Starry Sky universe were extremely powerful. If they really attacked them, the gods of their universe would have no way of resisting. Could it be that some of the Starry Sky universes have reached an agreement with the 9-source universe? The elder of the Decree Palace frowned slightly, his face a little ugly. No matter what, the Decree Palace had suffered heavy losses this time. Even the extremely powerful Void Spirit Treasure Land had been lost. Now they did not dare to send disciples into the Void Spirit Treasure Land. This was because they had already set up a strong defense at the Void Spirit Treasure Land, coupled with a group of experts and books of faith. Even such a force had been killed in an instant. They did not even know what the enemy was like. This force was no longer something they could contend with. Let all the gods and disciples be careful. A powerful deity from the palace also frowned and said, the starry sky universe was a huge treasure land for them. Just because of this small loss, they could not let all the gods and disciples retreat. The development of the gods they believed in was through absorbing believers to increase their strength. The cosmic beasts of the starry sky universe did not have high intelligence, and their bodies were terrifying. Every cosmic beast that they subdued as a believer produced a terrifying amount of faith power. Just 2 treasured lands were not enough to make them retreat. However, it was necessary to be careful. They decided to continue watching. Time passed quickly again. At the location of the Void Spirit Treasure Land, Wang Xian was constantly nurturing the soul worship. Nurturing it bit by bit, striving to reach the point where he could control it at will. At the side, the 4 doppelgangers of Dark Ghost condensed their soul power, preparing to forge it into powerful weapons. Millions of years passed again. Wang Xian stood on a very special ship. The ship looked illusory, as if it did not have any energy. At the bow of the ship was a huge dragon head, and on the body of the ship, there was a divine dragon. The entire ship was filled with a mighty aura. Wang Xian moved his body and flew forward at a terrifying speed. The illusory ship was like a phantom in the universe, looking somewhat mystical. Yes, it's fast. Standing on the soul battleship, Wang Xian revealed a faint smile. Over the past 2 million years, this soul warship had been completely nurtured by him. It could now become one with him. With just a thought, he could fly out quickly. The soul warship's attack power was strong, but it didn't have many attacking techniques. It did not contain any other energy. This was the purest form of soul power. This soul energy shared a special characteristic with the Dark Ghost clone. It could completely ignore physical attacks. In addition, the soul battleship's function was not to attack by force. It could only attack the souls of living beings. But it was also because of this that the offensive power of the soul warship was extremely strange and terrifying. After all, this was not an attack on the physical body, but a direct attack on the soul. A moment of carelessness could result in severe injuries. With the nurturing of the soul battleship completed, Wang Xian's strength had improved significantly. Due to its special characteristics, this soul battleship had no problem going against 9th Order sovereigns and 9th Order gods. What he had obtained over 10 million years was totally worth it. In addition, over the past few million years, Wang Xian's own strength had also improved significantly with the help of the Dark Ghost clone. Out of the 4 Dark Ghost clones, 2 were comparable to 7th Order sovereigns in soul battle armor. Equipped with 2 Dark Ghost clones, their strength could go against 2 opponents of the same level. Such an improvement would be equally terrifying for other pinnacle races in the 9 Origins universe. But over the past few million years, Wang Xian realized that the soul power in the black hole wasn't endless. It took time for the soul power to be born. In other words, if he expended the soul power wantonly, the soul power in the black hole would diminish. That's normal. If it's endless, then it doesn't make sense. If it's endless, it's just a matter of time before we use the soul power to create pinnacle experts. As Wang Xian spoke, he steered the soul battleship to the sky above the black hole. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Waves of energy emanated from the soul battleship, attracting large amounts of soul power from the surroundings. Since the soul battleship was built with the soul power here, it could naturally gather the soul power here. Moreover, its gathering speed was 100 times faster than the 4 Dark Ghost clones. They weren't on the same level at all. I can continue to stay here and collect all the soul power here. Wang Xian decided in his heart. He wasn't prepared to leave. Time passed quickly again. All the experts and disciples of the Dragon Palace were cultivating and accumulating. Because of the heart of faith that Wang Xian provided, they didn't need to participate in this war. The strength of the experts of the Dragon Palace was increasing at a terrifying rate. As for the Faith Cosmos, it seemed that because all the experts and disciples of the 2 treasure lands had been killed, they had also calmed down. Even during the battle with the 9 Origins universe, a large number of experts and disciples had been evacuated. Another 10 million years passed. The Nine Origins universe and the Faith cosmos also fell into a temporary period of peace. The experts and disciples of the two universes began to focus on searching for treasures and resources. As for Lan Qingyue, he brought Xiaolan and the rest to search for treasures and resources. This allowed the Dragon Palace to obtain large amounts of resources, and they didn't have to worry about the lack of resources. 10 million years. 20 million years. 30 million years. The starry cosmos fell into a rare period of peace. In these 30 million years, Wang Xian had also been continuously gathering the soul power here. In these 30 million years, the number of soul items that Wang Xian possessed that were comparable to the soul battleship had reached a total of 3. 2 of them had been successfully nurtured by him. The last one would require another few million years to be successfully nurtured. When he had condensed the third soul treasure of this level, the soul power in the void spirit paradise was almost depleted. Only the space above the black hole was still emitting soul power. But to accumulate to the same level as before, it would probably take 10 to 20 billion years. Chapter 3828. This void spirit treasure ground can be considered a temporary waste. Wang Xian stood in the center of this treasure ground. The surrounding soul power had disappeared, and only the black hole continued to emit some. This was a treasure ground. It was not inexhaustible. It needed time to accumulate. But if it wanted to accumulate to the same level as when Wang Xian first arrived, the next cataclysm might be over. We can leave this place now. Roving Crab has already absorbed all the energy in the Black Book treasure ground over 10 million years ago. Even the energy from the Black Book treasure ground has been absorbed. Yes, the special energy in the treasure ground was not endless. In the Black Book treasure ground, Roving Crab's millions of devouring dragons were devouring at a terrifying speed. More than 10 million years ago, they had already absorbed all the energy in the Black Book treasure ground. The black liquid had already been used up. It would take a long time for it to recover. Roving Crab's strength had reached the 5th Order Sovereign realm, comparable to the 4th Order Sovereigns of the peak races in the Nine-Source universe. As for the Black Book treasure ground, out of the 1,000 Black Book dragons, 100 had reached the 7th Order Sovereign realm, while the rest were 6th Order Sovereigns. The strength of the Dragon Palace had received a terrifying boost during this period. The number of sovereign experts had also reached 40,000. This was a very impressive number. The number of sovereign experts that the Dragon Palace has increased should be comparable to the total of the other 12 peak races, Wang Xian said. After all, they had hunted down too many experts who believed in the gods this time around. Next, I'll continue to search for treasure grounds occupied by the faith of the gods, then destroy them and take them for myself. Wang Xian made up his mind. With a swift move, he flew off into the distance. He was prepared to continue searching and hunting. Standing on the soul warship, Wang Xian flew rapidly in a certain direction. Now, apart from this soul warship, Wang Xian had 2 more soul spears. These 2 spears, when thrown out, would definitely be terrifying killing weapons. Most importantly, after the nurturing was successful, Wang Xian could instantly retrieve the spears after throwing them out. With his current strength, killing 9th Order Sovereigns was a piece of cake. Given his strength, he could fight 8 to 9 9th Order Sovereigns at once. Buzz buzz buzz. Just as Wang Xian was flying, he suddenly received a series of messages from the communication stone plate. Wang Xian switched on the communication stone plate and was taken aback when he read the message. Dragon King, a piece of shocking news has spread among the top clans. The sorcerer tribe has used the body of a giant star beast to create a powerful sorcerer tribe puppet that is comparable to a rank 9 powerhouse. This time, they killed a large number of powerhouses who believed in the universe. The fiend race has cultivated several 5th Order Sovereign Realm giant beasts. They had also made a move against the Faith Universe's gods. However, the Faith Universe's gods weren't weak either. Both sides fought for a long time before separating. In addition, according to what we know, the other peak races are also looking for ways to improve their strength. The skeleton race is rumored to be cultivating a powerful star behemoth skeleton. I'm guessing that the other peak-level races should be doing something similar. The message was sent by Prime Minister Turtle. When he saw the message, a look of surprise appeared on his face. The other peak races were already thinking of ways to resist the suppression of the Starry Sky universe. Perhaps the peak-level races had been preparing for such research since the beginning. The initial method was to tame the giant star beasts and increase their strength after taming them. The giant star beasts wouldn't be suppressed here. With the strength of the peak races, they could easily capture a fourth-order sovereign realm giant star beast, tame it, and nurture it with large amounts of resources. After all, it wasn't difficult for the peak races to nurture a fourth-order sovereign realm giant star beast. Once a fourth-order sovereign realm giant star beast reached the fifth-order sovereign realm, it would be comparable to an eighth-order sovereign in the Nine Origins universe. Moreover, because these giant star beasts belonged to the Starry Sky universe, they wouldn't attract the attention of the stronger giant star beasts. In fact, in the Starry Sky universe, as long as it wasn't an eighth-order sovereign, it wouldn't attract the attention of the giant star beast kings. The peak races are indeed the peak races. Wang Xian muttered to himself as his eyes lit up. However, even though they had improved at a terrifying rate, the strength of the Dragon Palace was still terrifying on the surface. More than 30 million years ago, Shaolan's strength had been revealed. The other peak races also knew that the ancient god Kuan breeder had 3 Kuan. More than 30 million years ago, 1 Kuan had reached the sixth-order sovereign realm. More than 30 million years later, the other 2 Kuan might have also reached the sixth-order sovereign realm. Together with the ancient god Kuan breeder, the Dragon Palace had the strength to fight against 4 ninth-order sovereigns. Among the peak races, the Dragon Palace should still be the strongest. It was just that, now all the peak races had their own trump cards. Shaolan and the rest are still a distance away from improving. I wonder how much the rest of the peak races have improved. Wang Xian muttered to himself, it's time to hunt down the gods of the Faith universe as soon as possible. He scanned the surroundings, nurturing the last soul treasure while searching for the powerhouses who believed in the universe. The Nine Origins universe has been very arrogant recently. They have killed a large number of our experts. It's time to eliminate them all. At the same time, at the passage to the Faith universe, an expert from the Pantheon looked at the experts of the other palaces and said, "Indeed, with a little preparation, we can wipe out all the experts and disciples of the Nine Origins universe in one fell swoop." The elder of the Decree Palace nodded in agreement. Each palace will send out a top-notch expert. 24 of them will be enough to wipe them out. All the experts and resources of the Nine Origins universe will be shared equally among the 24 palaces. An expert from the Pantheon Palace on the right side said as he looked around. All right. The other gods of the Pantheon Palace nodded. Over the past tens of millions of years, they had learned everything about the Nine Origins universe. Most of the elite disciples and experts below the eighth-order sovereigns had come to the Nine Origins universe. Now, it was time to wipe out all the experts and disciples of the Nine Origins universe in one fell swoop. Those who couldn't be accepted as believers would be eliminated. Those who could be accepted as believers would be subdued, and then they would reproduce and give birth to more disciples of the Nine Origins universe. Then, they would use the resources of the starry universe that they could use. Those that couldn't be used could be given to the believers of the Nine Origins universe to increase their strength. Chapter 3829. The Faith Universe. During the last cataclysm, they had been able to destroy a universe because of their faith dharma. They had taken in the disciples of the experts of that universe as believers and ordered them to multiply. The living beings that survived would continue to believe in them. In this way, they had conquered the entire universe. They were prepared to use the same method to take in the disciples of the experts of the Nine Origins universe. As for those that could not be subdued, they would be killed. If they could obtain a large number of believers from the Nine Origins universe and drive away the disciples of the experts of the Nine Origins universe, they would be able to use the resources of the universe for themselves. Those that could not be used would be given to the believers of the Nine Origins universe. As the strength of the believers increased, so would their strength. killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Then let's act quickly. 12 top forces block their path of retreat, while the other 12 fight them head-on. One of the gods said as he took out his communication device and sent a message. The experts of the other palaces also passed on the orders. In the past tens of millions of years, they had obtained the strength of the rank 9 gods through special methods. Some were rank 6 space beasts that had been taken in as believers, while others were combat puppets formed from the power of faith. The 24 palaces had created many powerful treasures over the past tens of millions of years. An existence that could occupy 2 universes was not that simple. The top races of the 9 Origins universe did not know that the Faith universe was preparing to attack the 9 Origins universe. At this moment, because the Sorcerer race had displayed powerful combat strength and killed a large number of the Faith universe's gods, the other top races were not to be outdone. These trump cards had been created in the past tens of millions of years. They had also begun to hunt the Faith universe's gods. What a terrifying amount of faith energy. There are many Faith universe's experts and disciples there. Within the territory of the Faith universe, Wang Xian flew quickly. He flew in the direction of the center of the starry universe for 2 years. In these 2 years, he did not encounter any Faith universe's gods or disciples. But at this time, he suddenly felt a vast amount of faith energy coming from behind him. This caused his eyes to shine. He could sense this vast and majestic power of faith from a great distance away. This energy was even more vast and majestic than at the Void Spirit Paradise. This meant that the number of Faith universe's gods in that direction exceeded tens of thousands. Moreover, his strength was extremely terrifying. It's flying towards the front right. Wang Xian sensed it. With a thought, the Tai Chi dragon board appeared around him and gradually concealed him. Inside the yin-yang space, he flew toward the direction of the majestic faith energy. After flying for more than 10 minutes, Wang Xian immediately saw an army of faith flying ahead. Yes, this was a legion, a powerful legion. There were more than 1 million believers and disciples. Wang Xian took a glance and estimated that there were about 80,000 existences at the level of the pantheon. The remaining million or so were all elite believers of the universe. Their strength was comparable to a 7th-order Venerable Realm expert. Among them, there were more than 100 rank 7 gods. This number was truly terrifying. In addition, there was a star beast in the middle of the army of faith. It was a rank 6 star beast. This giant star beast was probably controlled by the gods who believed in it. On top of the behemoth were more than 100 rank 7 gods. The legion of gods flew forward at high speed. This made Wang Xian's eyes flicker with astonishment. He hesitated for a moment, but still prepared to strike. With so many gods of faith, it would bring a huge amount of resources to the Dragon Palace after annihilating them. As for what they were up to, he would find out once he left a few of them alive to investigate. He moved and flew in the direction in front of them. Wang Xian hid in the void before them, exerting the full power of the Tai Chi Dragon Board and the 5 Elements Grindstone, ready to attack at any time. He was even ready to take out the Soul Worship and Soul Spear to deal a fatal blow to the Army of Faith. The Army of Faith soon came into his sight. Wang Xian stared at them calmly, ready to strike the moment they reached him. The giant star beast flew closer but did not sense Wang Xian. The experts on the giant star beast did not sense him either. However, when they were not far away from Wang Xian, in the middle of the giant star beast and the rank 7 gods, an old man sat in the middle with a bead in his hand. His eyes were closed and his mouth was moving constantly. He suddenly opened his eyes and looked at the bead of faith in his hand. On the surface of the bead, the scene of his impending death was displayed. "Oh no, there's an ambush. Watch out." He narrowed his eyes and shouted immediately. He waved his arm and the bead in his hand immediately floated in the air in front of him. "What? Watch out," the old man suddenly exclaimed. The surrounding rank 7 gods were shocked. Without any hesitation, they shook their bodies with the power of faith. With a wave of their arms, boundless and terrifying power of faith surged into the bead. "Defend!" One of the rank 7 gods roared. The millions of gods and disciples of the army of faith focused their eyes and instantly entered into battle mode. The giant star beast at the Sixth Order Sovereign Realm also let out a roar as it looked around. Waves of energy surged forward. We've been discovered? However, you're already in my attack range. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes and revealed a cold expression. He waved his arm and the 5 elements grindstone appeared in front of them, covering the entire starry sky. Countless offensive spiritual treasures of the 5 elements shrouded them. The Tai Chi dragon plate also moved and flew towards the space below them. An incomparably huge Tai Chi diagram appeared in the space below them. The Tai Chi diagram began to revolve and a terrifying aura rose upwards. Light and darkness revolved, intertwining and spinning rapidly, crushing everything above them. At the same time, a soul spear appeared in Wang Xian's hand and aimed at the giant star beast at the Sixth Order Sovereign Realm. Oh no, watch out! Block with all your might. The old man in the middle of the primordial heaven palace was shocked when he saw the 5 elements grindstone and the Tai Chi dragon plate appearing above and below them. The bead of faith in the sky was still showing the scene of them being killed. This meant that they were invincible. They would be annihilated. Chapter 38:30. The roar of the Sixth Order Sovereign Astral Beast rang out. The millions of gods and believers of the army of faith launched their strongest attacks at the same time. Waves of faith energy gathered on the bead. The entire bead released a terrifying amount of faith energy. The 100-odd Seventh Order gods on the astral beast took out their powerful faith treasures. They also channeled their vast power of faith into the bead. This bead was a famous treasure of the primordial heaven palace, the Pearl of Life and Death. The Pearl of Life and Death could predict life and death. At the same time, it was also an incomparably powerful treasure of faith. Channeling faith energy into it could reverse life and death. Boom boom boom. Boom boom boom. When the boundless faith energy was channeled into the Pearl of Life and Death, the entire bead exploded with a terrifying amount of faith energy. The scene within the Pearl of Life and Death changed. The situation where they were certain to die changed. At the same time, the faith energy within the Pearl of Life and Death opened up a huge umbrella of faith. This umbrella of faith met the attacks of the Tai Chi dragon coil and the 5 elements grind. Boom. Following that, the sound of collision resounded as terrifying energy blasted out. Arg. However, at this time, the primordial heaven palace's legion of faith, the believers below the level of the myriad gods, let out miserable shrieks. They were unable to withstand the terrifying shockwaves. More than 1 million believers' bodies crumbled, and they died quickly. At this moment, Wang Xian, who was at the front, was shocked when he saw this. His attack was actually blocked. One had to know that the full power of the Tai Chi dragon coil and the 5 elements grind was comparable to the full power of 6 Ninth Order gods. They had actually blocked it. Wang Xian was shocked. Foresight, enemy. At this time, the gods on the 7th Order giant astral beast roared and waved their arms. The surrounding believers' corpses entered the Pearl of Life and Death. In the next moment, Wang Xian's figure appeared. Someone is attacking us. It should be an expert from the 9 Origins universe. The rank 7 pantheon in the middle saw Wang Xian's figure and bellowed in horror. They discovered me. When Wang Xian saw this, he was also shocked. It seemed that he still couldn't underestimate the faith universe. Even with his current strength, he was already very powerful. So be it. I'll kill all of you. This amount of resources is enough for the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he growled in a low voice. With just a thought, the 5 elements grindstone and the Tai Chi dragon coil crushed towards them. That terrifying aura and energy gathered in the surroundings. The Tai Chi dragon plate and the 5 elements grindstone attacked from above and below. The terrifying energy once again attacked them. At this moment, the scene of their deaths appeared on the life and death prophecy pearl again. Not good. The opponent's strength is too terrifying. We can't resist it. When they saw the result on the life and death prophecy pearl, all the gods in the primordial heaven palace were shocked. The first strike had killed all of their followers. They could no longer withstand this attack. Even if they released all the power of faith once again, he still couldn't block it. For you, how dare you kill us? Our Heaven Origin Palace will not let you off. The rank 7 gods in the center of the primordial Heaven Palace bellowed. The mysterious existence that attacked them was probably going to kill them all this time. The entire primordial Heaven Palace had 1,000,000 troops and over 80,000 gods. Once all of them died, it would be a huge loss. You won't let me off? I'm the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace of the Nine-Source Universe. I'm here to entertain you. However, none of you can escape today. Wang Xian didn't hide when he was discovered. Moreover, even if he wanted to hide, the people from the Faith Universe would know it was him through his appearance. Therefore, he didn't hide at all. Within the Starry Universe, Wang Xian wasn't afraid of any enemy. Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. Just you wait. Give it to our primordial Heaven Palace. Give it to our Faith Universe. We'll definitely annihilate all of you. A rank 7 god bellowed with a menacing and violent expression. Tisk, I'd like to see who's going to kill who. Wang Xian stared at them coldly. At this moment, roars came from the 5 elements grindstone and the Taiji dragon plate. Waves of energy were directed at them. No. We can't escape. We can't escape. Get the palace master and the rest to avenge us. We must annihilate the Dragon Palace and avenge us. Howls and cries of despair rang out. One by one, the gods felt this unparalleled power, and their bodies began to tremble violently. They were going to die. Only gods with treasures could be resurrected. For the vast majority of gods, if they died this time, they would die for good. They were indignant. Boom, boom. At this time, the Tai Chi dragon plate collided with the 5 elements grindstone's energy. The experts in the middle, as well as the 6th order sovereign realm star beast, felt their vitality sapping away at an alarming rate. Ultimately, their strength was still far from Wang Xian's. At this moment, Wang Xian waved his arm and saved the lives of a few gods. As he executed the soul assimilation art, waves of information entered his mind. The rest of the gods were turned into corpses. Wang Xian waved his arm and kept all the corpses with a smile on his face. The harvest this time was too great. 1,000,000 faith soldiers and more than 80,000 gods. Among them, there were more than 100 7th order sovereigns. With these resources, the strength of the Dragon Palace would be enhanced to a terrifying level. At that time, as long as there were enough resources, it would be much easier for the disciples of the Dragon Palace to improve. Perhaps in tens of millions of years, the number of sovereigns of the Dragon Palace could reach more than 100,000. This speed of improvement was absolutely terrifying. Primordial Heaven Palace? So this is the army that the Universe of Faith, Primordial Heaven Palace, sent to the battlefield in the 9 Origins universe. 24 palaces joined forces to annihilate and subdue all the experts and disciples in the 9 Origins universe? Wang Xian kept the corpses and began to check the information he had obtained. His eyes were filled with shock when he saw the information. 24 palaces joined forces and each palace had 1,000,000 soldiers. They were not weaker than the Primordial Heaven Palace. The strength of these 24 palaces was a little terrifying. One had to know that each palace had sent more than 100 7th order sovereigns. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.